Welcome. This is the Dessert Trews for Russell Brand, Episode 1. I'm reading The Afterlife of Billy Fingers. um, so here we are on page 8. Sitting at my electronic keyboard, all I could think about was Billy. I wanted to phone him, hear his voice, tell him I loved him in some way, and I didn't know how to reach him. Part of me was afraid to reach him. I'm sure he was in bad shape. The day before Billy died, a bitter cold January morning, I layered on 2 sweaters, a down jacket, and 2 wool hats, and ventured into the raw air. I walked across the frozen brown leaves, through the bare winter woods, and climbed down the wooden staircase that led to the bay. I never asked God for favors. But that morning I looked up at the silvery sky, raised my arms, and imagined pushing Billy into the hands of the great divine. Take care of him for me, I whispered. Hours later, Billy was dead. The next few days I stayed in bed, unable to do anything but drink tea. They say there are different stages of grief: shock, guilt, anger, depression. But all those feelings collided and came crashing in on me at once. My friend Tex stopped by to see me, how I was doing. It's weird, I told her. It's not like I'm sad exactly. I feel like a voodoo doll has stuck pins in me everywhere. I'd given Tex her flashy nickname because she was a 5'11", dark-haired, angular, partial, into cowboy boots. Even though she looked tough, she was kind, and always thought about what she said before she said it. Not like me. "Oh, honey," Tex said, taking my hand. "That's grief." Tex would know. She lost her older brother, Pat, in a plane crash when she was just a teenager. 3 days after Billy's death, a monster storm moved through Long Island. Long Island. Billy loved wild, turbulent weather, and as the storm obscured everything, I felt a kind of satisfaction. The snow was whiting out my world, just as death had whited out Billy's. I've always believed something exists beyond death, and what that something was, I had no idea. Wind screamed through my windows. I was sure it was Billy's spirit making his usual racket, knocking around the sky, trying to find his way. The storm passed, and the wind subsided. I spent most of my days in bed crying. The rest of the time I was swallowing Valium until I was walking zombie. My long, dark, wavy hair was lank and uncombed. My eyes puffy into slits. My skin haggard. I didn't look 40-something anymore. I looked 100. And it was okay with me, because every time I saw myself in the mirror, the verdict was always the same: guilty. Over the past few years, I'd done everything I could to help Billy. Hospitals, rehabs, psychiatrists, methadone clinics. Nothing worked. His struggle became a black hole that sucked me into his chaos. I came down with a different ailment every other week and saw one doctor after another. Finally, I pleaded with him. "I can't take this anymore. Please stop calling me." But he didn't. He couldn't. Then, instead of talking, we were mostly crying and screaming at each other. One day, he did stop calling, and now he was gone. 3 weeks of post-death misery and self-recrimination later. It was my birthday. Just before sunrise, as I was waking up, I heard someone calling my name from above me. "Annie! Annie!" It's me, Billy." It was Billy's unmistakable, deep, mellow voice. I was startled, but not afraid. In fact, I felt comforted. "Billy," I said, half asleep, "you can't be here. You're dead. I must be dreaming." "You're not dreaming. It's me. Get up and get the red notebook." Suddenly, I was very much awake. I'd completely forgotten about the red leather notebook Billy had sent me last year for my birthday. I was touched that he had made the effort to send me a gift, even though he was becoming overwhelmed by his addictions. I jumped out of bed and found the red notebook on a shelf in my bedroom closet. The pages were blank, except for an inscription written on the first page. "Dear Annie, everyone needs a book dedicated to them. Read between the lines. Love, Billy." What a strange thing for Billy to have written. Read between the lines. I ran my fingers over the familiar handwriting. Then I heard him again. "It's really me, Annie. I'm okay. Because I grabbed a pen and wrote down what he was saying in the red notebook. "The first thing that happens is bliss." At least it was like that in my case. I don't know what it's like that way for everyone who dies. As the car hit me, I was hit by a car, this energy came and sucked me right out of my body into a higher realm. I say higher since I had the feeling of rising up and suddenly all my pain was gone. I don't remember hovering over my body or looking down on it or anything like that. I guess I was pretty anxious to get out of there. I knew right away I was dead and went with it, more than ready for whatever was waiting. I wasn't aware of traveling at any particular speed. I just felt light and unburdened as the sucking motion drew me up inside a chamber of thick silvery blue lights. People who have near-death experiences sometimes say they went through a tunnel. I'm using the word chamber because the tunnel has sides. But no matter what direction I looked, there was nothing but light. For as far as I could see, maybe the difference is I had a one-way ticket, and theirs was a round trip. Even though I didn't have my body anymore, it felt like I did, and it was being healed. The lights in the chamber penetrated me and made me feel better and better as my car accident that was being healed. Whoops. It wasn't just the wounds from my car accident that were being healed. In the first nanosecond that the lights touched me, they erased any harm I suffered during my lifetime, physical, mental, emotional, or otherwise. Soon, Daddy appeared, right there beside me, young and smiling and handsome as ever. He was making jokes and asking, "What took you so long?" It was so great seeing Daddy. But I'm guessing he was there to be a familiar landmark in a foreign territory. I'm saying that because he was only with me for part of the ride. And definitely, Daddy wasn't the main event. The main event was the silvery lights and the party atmosphere. Those healing lights had a festive feeling, like they were cheering me on, saying, "Welcome home, son." I can't say how long I was floating up the healing chamber, because I no longer have a sense of time. But I can say that chamber was some kind of cosmic birthing canal that delivered me into this new life. I want you to know, darling, there is nothing hard or cruel for me anymore. I glided from the chamber right out into the glorious universe. I'm drifting weightlessly through space with these gorgeous stars and moons and galaxies twinkling all around me. The whole atmosphere is filled with a soothing hum, like hundreds of thousands of voices are singing to me, but they're so far away I can just barely hear them. And although I can't exactly say anyone was here to greet me, as soon as I came out of the chamber, I felt a divine presence, a kind, loving, beneficent presence, and really, that was enough. That was your spiritual nutrition.